So, after a crazy busy spring, it's finally time to rank every movie I saw in 2022 from the worst to the best. I have 41 movies on this list. They're listed in the description. If there's a movie that's not on this list, that means I didn't see it, therefore I can't talk about it. So don't be in the comments like, where's this movie? Where's this movie? As per usual, there are some movies that I wanted to see but just never quite got around to it. Here they are. Also, as always, with a ranking this size, I'm sure that I'll switch these movies around in my head some after I do some rewatching, but I don't think that any of my opinions will significantly change. This ranking just shows where I'll put these movies at this moment in time, although there may be some slight adjustments over the years. So, without further ado, let's get started. In last place is easily going to be Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules. The animation in this movie is okay. I think they did a good job taking the art style from the books and translating it to color animation. However, the movie lacks the clever satire and relatability that made the books fun. At number 40 is going to be Thor, Love and Thunder. While the performances in this movie are solid, especially from Christian Bale, that's about all there is here. This movie has way too much humor. It ends up cutting every ounce of dramatic tension there could have been. While I'm usually in favor of letting blockbuster filmmakers do their own thing and having a lot of creative freedom, I think Taika Waititi went too far with this one. Number 39, Jurassic World Dominion. While there's some good dinosaur action and some solid CGI and practical effects, the movie basically ignores its own premise. On top of that, the acting leaves a lot to be desired and the character arcs feel very shallow. Number 38, Tar. Despite an excellent performance from Cate Blanchett, Tar was a tedious bore that felt way too stretched out. It introduces multiple ideas, themes, plot lines, and conflicts, but hardly follows up on any of them. In the end, the movie almost feels intentionally pointless. Black Adam had some good action and some fun characters, but the pacing was inconsistent, and the main plotline wasn't really interesting. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies did a good job poking fun at Generation Z, my generation, and satirizing modern, often unhealthy friendships. However, the characters weren't always likable, the writing needed more subtlety, and the twist was very predictable. Number 35, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. While this film improves upon its predecessor by focusing on one clear central plotline, the main plotline isn't very engaging, the characters make a lot of confusing decisions, and the world building feels inconsistent with other Wizarding World movies. Even the really good chemistry between Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen couldn't save this one. Number 34, Halloween Ends. Now, I enjoyed how this movie tried to do something new and focused on how another person could become just as evil as Michael Myers. However, the characters weren't well defined, and the plot was inconsistent with previous movies in the franchise, and lastly, this movie just did not feel like the third chapter of a trilogy. Number 33, Studio 666. Studio 666 was exactly what I expected it to be. It was a simple, funny, supernatural horror comedy with some good laughs and a fun premise. However, the premise is this movie's biggest strength and its biggest weakness. Since the Foo Fighters are musicians and not actors, some of the acting isn't quite top tier. However, Rami Jaffrey and Pat Smear are definitely the standouts. Also, some of the band members just don't quite feel as invested in the project as Dave Grohl does. Number 35 was the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. This was just simply a fun, lighthearted Christmas special with some good James Gunn humor and some funny character moments. This will be an unpopular opinion, but my number 31 is Pearl. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for putting this movie this low, but I just don't see what everyone saw in this movie. I thought it was okay, I thought the writing was good, and that the gore was decent, and that Pearl's character arc worked. But I don't get why everyone is clamoring about how this is one of the greatest prequels ever. Despite Mia Goth's fantastic performance, it just felt like another good character goes bad movie. Bringing us into the top 30 is Women Talking. I thought this movie had some good performances and a pretty solid script. I thought it did a good job using dialogue to reveal character. However, the plot felt a bit aimless at times, and some of the characters felt inconsistent. Overall, I just felt like it didn't resonate as much as it could have. At number 29 is Violent Night. Now, just the inherent concept of this movie is a ton of fun, and David Harbour is the perfect person to play the lead. Overall, it's just a solid action comedy with a lot of heart and a lot of fun. Werewolf by Night was something truly different from Marvel Studios. While it doesn't have the most layered plotline or characters, it does have a unique concept and an interesting story. A Christmas Story Christmas featured some good performances and a ton of heart, but also a few too many remember this moments. The Northman is truly an auteur epic. It manages to use modern filmmaking techniques to translate a folktale from literally thousands of years ago to the big screen. It features some of the most unique directing, acting, cinematography, and editing of the year. However, some aspects of the Scandinavian folktale, such as the horrible protagonist, don't translate well to a big-budget blockbuster. The Whale features an excellent comeback performance from Brendan Fraser and does a good job exploring some very unique and thought-provoking ideas. However, Aronofsky's typical misunderstanding of Christianity takes away from the film's emotional resonance. Despite some fantastic writing, directing, and acting, Babylon failed to elicit as much emotion as it wanted to. Although it worked as a love letter to movies and to the film industry, I didn't find myself as invested in the story and characters as I have in Chazelle's previous movies. Number 23, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. The inherent concept of this movie is brilliant. It's the perfect setup for a lot of fun meta-humor and commentary on the entertainment industry. However, the original cartoon was before my time, so the nostalgia didn't quite hit me as much as it hit others, but I still had a great time with it. Number 22, Nope. Jordan Peele's third film delivers exactly what you want from a Jordan Peele movie. Layered characters, excellent performances, fantastic suspense, and some very rich social commentary. However, the movie does leave some things a little too ambiguous for my tastes. At number 21 is The Banshees of Inisherin. Now this movie does a great job doing a lot with a very simple concept, and does a good job putting the audience in like a distinct time and place. The characters are fascinating, the performances are incredible, and the cinematography is gorgeous. However, the movie does run out of steam about 20 minutes before it ends, which makes the last chunk drag. At number 20 is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This is another one where just the inherent concept of this movie is absolutely brilliant. Nicolas Cage playing his public persona is such a genius idea. Nicolas Cage is of course great, and Pedro Pascal is pretty good as well. I found myself oddly invested in their friendship and bond. However, the ending did feel a bit anticlimactic. The Adam Project was a fun action flick with entertaining characters, good action, and some nice themes about fatherhood and regret. Walter Scobell and Ryan Reynolds have some great chemistry, and Mark Ruffalo adds a lot of heart to their dynamic. Overall, it was a fun, easily digestible action film. Triangle of Sadness started out as an interesting exploration of gender roles and class. It features some very layered characters, a lot of great comedy, and some cool visual. However, the movie's last act drags a bit, which causes it to feel tedious. It's almost like it can't decide exactly what it's trying to critique and ends up feeling overstuffed. Number 17, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This movie did the best it could without Chadwick Boseman. While his absence is definitely noticeable, the filmmakers did the best they could to organically continue the story of Wakanda. It manages to construct a solid character arc for Shuri, continue the story of the Wakandan people, and build on the mythos of the MCU. Namor is a solid villain, and Angela Bassett gives a performance that truly elevates the movie. However, the middle act does drag a bit as the film gets caught up in its world building and lore. Number 16, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This movie features a lot of fun characters, some rich ideas about aging and legacy, and a lot of great humor. On top of that, it has some of the best animation I've seen in a DreamWorks movie in a while. However, for some reason, this movie didn't quite hit me as hard as I felt like it should have. I don't know if it's because I set my expectations too high or what, but it just didn't impact me the way that I wish it had. Number 15, All Quiet on the Western Front. This movie truly captures the horror and the tragedy of war. It puts the viewer in the point of view of a World War I soldier and makes you feel like you're there in the trenches struggling to survive. However, the characters aren't as fleshed out as I wish they were, and the last little bit of the movie drags a bit. The menu was an interesting deconstruction of food culture, the service industry, and consumerism. The performances are great, the characters are very nuanced and layered, and there's a lot of really fun dark humor. However, like a lot of movies that are around this area on the list, I just feel like it didn't quite hit me as hard as I wish it could have. Number 13, Avatar: The Way of Water. The thing that this movie does best is just draw you into the world of Pandora. While the world building is by no means original, Cameron presents it in a way that just makes it so engaging and immersing that your eyes are just glued to the screen. The action is great, the effects are incredible, and the movie does a good job continuing the character arcs from the first movie while also introducing some engaging new characters that'll have prominent roles in the sequels. However, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, it just didn't impact me as much as I felt like it should have. I just didn't feel as invested in the plot and characters as I wanted to. I think that it's a bit too repetitive of the first movie, and I just didn't find it as resonant as I feel like Cameron wants it to be. Number 12, Scream. This movie is a perfect legacy sequel while also being a satire of legacy sequels. The new characters are a blast, the jokes and meta moments are hilarious, and the commentary is the best it's been since the original Scream. However, Ghostface's motivation is a little bit weak and some of the legacy characters feel underutilized. Number 11, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This movie was an excellent return to the superhero genre for Sam Raimi. This is one of the most tonally and aesthetically distinct movies from the MCU in a while. I cannot believe that Disney let Raimi get away with some of the stuff he does in this movie. It has some of the most fun moments in the MCU since its glory days. However, there are a few flaws. First, some of the exposition feels a little sloppy, and second, Wanda as a character just feels a bit one note. I feel like they could have developed her character a bit more. Bringing us into the top 10 is Glass Onion. While not as great as the first movie, Glass Onion is still a solid twist on the whodunit genre. It features a great ensemble cast, a lot of fun twists and turns, and some very poignant social commentary. Overall, I can't wait for movie 3. At number 9 is RRR. RRR was such a great examination of the friendship between its two leads. It meticulously crafts their growing bond as well as the highs and lows in their friendship. The action is over the top and spectacular, the musical numbers are lively and creative, and the production design is perfect. This movie just has its energy to it that hypes you up but also draws you into the story. At number 8, X. X is just such a fun play on slashers and low-budget exploitation movies. It's very self-aware and surprisingly nuanced for a film with its premise. It digs a lot deeper into its conflicts and emotions than most other films of this genre. The only thing holding it back is that I feel like the themes didn't quite tie together as much as I feel like they could have. Number 7, Barbarian. This movie might not be the best I saw this year, but it is by far the most suspenseful. The way that this movie builds tension is incredible. It uses filmmaking techniques that I've never seen other movies use. On top of that, the plot is structured in a way so that you can't really guess what's gonna happen. I was truly on the edge of my seat until the credits rolled. I do have one small gripe with it. There is a character, and I won't spoil who kind of gets set up for a character arc of sorts, but the movie doesn't really follow through on that arc in any way. Apart from that though, this is one of the best horror films I've seen in a while. Number 6, Bullet Train. This movie is such a bizarre combination of Guy Ritchie, Quentin Tarantino, and just so much more. Every character in this movie's ensemble is unique, quirky, all the action is well shot and inventive, and the humor is on point. This is definitely one of the most refreshing action movies I've seen in a long time. Number 5, Vengeance. This is definitely the most underrated movie on the list in the sense that it's the one that gets talked about the least. BJ Novak offers an interesting look at cultural differences between different parts of the US. The film touches on the superficiality of urban living, the egocentrism that comes with media creation, and the methods people use to gain a sense of importance and identity. This movie made me gain a lot of respect for BJ Novak as a filmmaker, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Number 4, Top Gun: Maverick. This movie is truly an auteur action epic from the greatest movie star of our time. Every action set piece is truly a cinematic accomplishment on its own. On top of the spectacle, the movie tells a great story about legacy and aging and just questioning your place in the world. While it's by no means the most thematically rich movie on this list, it does prove that there is merit to doing fan service correctly. Bringing us into the top 3, The Fabelmans. This movie is such a great exploration as to what makes people love movies and what drives people to make movies. This is easily Spielberg's most personal movie, and he perfectly crafts a story about someone who learns to communicate through movies. In a year that was full of movies about the importance and impact of movies themselves, this one has resonated with the filmmaker inside of me in a way no other movie this year has. Our runner-up is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. What is easily the biggest crowd-pleasing movie this year is almost my number 1. Just the sheer concept and ideas in this movie are so huge and mind-boggling, but also done in a very accessible and easy to follow way. While the movie is not afraid to be tongue-in-cheek, it does also explore some very relatable ideas like regret and sorrow. While it may be a little bit too chaotic and out there for some people, it was perfect for me. But at number 1, my favorite movie of 2022 was The Batman. This movie is truly the perfect Batman reboot. It gives us a Batman story that is grounded, but also very comic booky and very personal. It focuses on the detective / mystery side of the story, which is something that no other Batman movie has done before. Robert Pattinson is perfectly cast, and so is literally every other character in this movie. It also gives Batman a very well-constructed character arc, which we haven't seen since the Lego Batman movie. Overall, it shows how a hard reboot can complement other movies in the same franchise while also doing something refreshing and original. So that's it. That is my ranking of every movie I saw in 2022. What were your favorite and least favorite movies of 2022? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to hear my extended thoughts on any of the movies I mentioned, leave a comment telling me which one, and maybe I'll get around to making a full review. As per usual, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.